This is Xander Breach, and this is Before the Journey, my early childhood, part 4, the base life, part 3, 2 of 2. Now, reason why I'm doing a 2 of 2 is because there was some facts I forgot to mention in the previous video. And I'm going to get to those facts just a moment here. The previous video is a 1 of 2. So you kind of getting like all the facts, including the ones I didn't mention. So before I continue, if you haven't watched the first 3 parts and the 4th part, 1 of 1 of the base life part 3, I'd highly recommend that you shut this video off and watch them right now. You'd be very lost if you start here. So now that we got that cleared, it's time to go ahead and put in the missing facts that I didn't mention in the previous video. So before they got into the divorce they got into, my adoptive dad and my mother, and the fight that they got into, there was a few things that happened that I forgot to mention. My adoptive dad decided to teach me how to tie my shoes. So, I'm now 7 going on 8. Maybe he taught me early. I don't know. But I do recall somewhere between 93 and 94, he taught me how to tie my shoes. And one of the things he did was he took one of my shoes and he threw it in mine and my brother's room. And remembering this is how I learned how to tie shoes. I was already learning in school, but he wanted to teach me at home for practice runs. Okay? So I would have to tie the shoe and I would show it to him. If it wasn't correct, he throws it right back in the room. And we did it profusely over and over and over again. It got annoying and it got tiring, but when you're a kid and you're living with a military man, you gotta step up to the plate. So I had to literally tie my shoes continuously. We did everything. We did his way, which was just one loop across, and then we did the bunny ear. Seems like the bunny ear turned out to be a good idea because I learned how to tie my shoes that way. The loop-de-loop thing wasn't working for me all that well. So we did the bunny ear thing. And we did that for a long time until I learned how to tie my shoes. Over and over and over again. He cussed like he normally does. But he didn't give up on teaching me. And that's probably one of the best things, or the best qualities he's always had, even when I got older. Great teacher, even though very stern. So that's one missing fact. Let's see. Oh. Trying to think here. Was there any things I didn't mention? Oh, Little League. Y'all remember Little League in part 3 and part 2, right? Or part 2 and part 3. Yeah. We finished Little League towards the end. I finished Little League towards the end of 93. Or was it 94? I think it was 93. I'm not sure. We had a whole season. And I do recall I've had my ups and downs with Little League. The whole thing about keeping an eye on the ball, whole 9 yards. I may have mentioned this before, but just in case, I want to mention it again. Because this was a good time in my life, and I learned how to be well-rounded. After Little League, we all got a trophy for accomplishing the season. Coach gave each of us a trophy. It was nice of him, you know. We worked hard all throughout the season, and we celebrated with a trophy. I came home. My mom was so proud. She said, you know, keep it in a safe place, and I decided to do so. I had that trophy for years. Never knew what happened to it. But it was a great accomplishment just to have it. And, you know, Little League was fun. Yeah, there was ups and downs, but it was fun. Surprisingly, I still remember things about that experience. You know, but that was the end of the Little League season. Don't really know if this is the time to mention when I learned how to swim from my cousin Billy. Maybe too early. Trying to think, was it 94 he taught me? I know he taught me when I was really, really young. Trying to think. Well, I'll have to get back to you on that one, but somewhere around that line, my cousin Billy, who I know as Will now, taught me how to swim. And when he did, that was another accomplishment. Even though I had issues swimming underwater, my cousin decided to take the responsibility in teaching me. My mom was impressed. She was happy about that. But I'll never forget the biggest mistake I would make as a child. I should have never did the whole surfboard thing with him. He held his breath for too long. Could have drowned out of my own stupidity, and I didn't want that. I wouldn't have wanted that. Thinking about the whole surfboard thing, treating him, doing the whole surfboard thing, playing surfboard with him, it was a bad idea. I didn't want to hurt him. And when he told me that as an adult, I felt really bad about that. Well, you know, when you're a kid, you don't know what you're doing. And when he brought that to my attention, it broke my heart. Knowing I should have not been so long, you know, with those, you know, playing surfboard with him. I mean, he was willing to do that. It's just, I just could have thought to myself, people can't hold their breath for too long. But you know, he had a good heart on his shoulders. He still does have a good heart. And I've always loved that about him. Just, I mean, I didn't realize what I was doing, and if I did, I wouldn't have done that in the first place. And if he's hearing it right now, I know he'll probably be thinking, man, it's alright, it's the past. And I'm like, thinking, it may be the past, but it's just, I could have done better. Even as a child, I could have done better on some things. And you've done so much for me when we were kids. I would have not had that opportunity. And just thinking about not having the opportunity of having you continue to be like a big brother to me, it really blows my mind just knowing that. You've done a lot of things for me out of love, and I could have done better and known, even as a child, if I had known that was going to, cause you to almost get to the point where you would have drowned, I would have never done that. I would have never done that, man. So, I'm just going to be real with y'all. When it comes to people who care about me, and even though I've did them in many times and I feel bad about that, and even though I moved on, when they tell me something that I never knew as a child, it makes me think. And if any of you are watching this, take my advice. People can't hold their breath for too long. And if you are someone who's going in the pool and playing surfboard with your friend or something, you've got to keep in mind, they can't be in the water for too long. Let them up and breathe. Okay? Let them up and breathe. Because if you don't, they'll give in and they'll drown. They'll stop to the point where they'll get tired and they'll drown. So if you're going to play the little human surfboard thing, let your friend up, your family up, and let them up and breathe. Don't do what I did. Okay? Do not do what I did. I cannot stress that enough to you. So, I remember the same day, back to the story, I remember the same day my cousin taught me to swim. My cousin Billy, well now, but Billy. I remember his sister came out to just relax on a float and try to supposedly get a tan in the sun. Well, unfortunately for her, she didn't get a tan. She brutally got sunburned. Ouch, I know, right? Yeah, brutally sunburned. Now, as far as him teaching me how to swim goes, I don't exactly recall when he taught me. It may be later, but if it was later that he taught me, I will correct myself and, tell you that I was wrong. But somewhere around that time, maybe 94 or 95, he would teach me how to swim. And me being a kid, I would learn. I would learn from someone you never thought I'd learn from. And I'll have more stories of him and I in the next part, but I think I can end here. And as far as the whole tape player thing, that may have been my brother's 4th birthday. I'm not sure. But it may have been. And if it is, I want to correct that too. But other than that, if it wasn't his 4th birthday, then we'll just keep it the same. So, I'll end this by saying, y'all take care. God bless you. And I will see you in the next part. Bye-bye.